Are you struggling with training in Football Manager 2024? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over the training schedules and try to figure out what each of these training sessions actually mean. If you go over to schedules and then go over to new schedule, you can just go ahead and create your own schedule. And then from here, we're going to see how each of these training sessions actually apply in Football Manager. So training is divided into general, match preparation, attacking training, defending training sessions, technical training, tactical training, goalkeeping, set pieces, physical training, and other extracurricular activities. Each of these training sessions has their effect on your players and on your team dynamic as a whole. So starting from general training, you need to understand that general training is a holistic approach on anything regarding your team's session. By holistic, I mean the team is going to touch every area of that activity. So now overall, it's like a general approach towards everything regarding how your team goes on to play as a whole. It's performed as a team and it's a small amount of work put into every area of the team. Now, other general training sessions include outfield training, where the team goes on to look at their general play on the pitch. There are other general trainings for goalkeeping. So goalkeeping general training is going to cover distribution, sweeping, goalkeeping, reactions, every single thing, and then also touching on goalkeeper attributes as well. The same thing applies for attacking, possession, defending, tactical training. It just looks at the general approach of the team's tactics, and also the general physical training looks at your team's physical work as a whole, just like the description describes it here. When you start going down the list, it starts to get a bit more specific. So now the next chapter we're looking at is match preparation training. This has been reduced in FM 2024 to 2 sessions only. In previous Football Manager games, we used to have attacking movement, defensive training in preparation for the match, teamwork training for match preparation and all those stuff, but Sports Interactive actually reduced it to only 2, which is match practice and match tactics. And match tactics looks at your team's tactical approach for the next match. Match practice is a 11-a-side training focused on the next fixture. So your team is just going to play a match against each other. That's the first 11 versus maybe the second 11, and then they're going to go ahead and practice in relation to the next match that they're playing. So it's not just a random match practice. They're applying the principles of what they're going to do in the next fixture into their match practice. Now, as we go over to attacking training, it looks at what your team does when they're trying to score a goal. So if your team is looking to try and play a wide style of play and try to exploit the wings and score the opposition playing wing play, you're going to focus on attacking wings. If you're trying to break a team down, or the next team that you're playing against tends to play in a low block and try to defend, and you're playing against a team that's going to sit back, attacking patient is an option to go for. If you're looking to hit teams on the counter attack, you can play attacking direct in your training sessions, and you can also combine attacking direct with attacking wings in a particular session, and then you have, let's say you have attacking wings and then attacking direct. So you kind of work together and try to build a system and use that to prepare for the next game in case you want to exploit the flanks in a counter-attacking manner. You also have overlaps, and this kind of, I think it works well with attacking patient, maybe attacking direct as well. So it looks on how your team is going to operate when you're going to have wing backs overlapping, how your team is going to attack using the overlaps. Defending training is where it kind of gets tricky, but it's also a specialized training sessions, not just defending in general. So you can see defending training here, and you need to pay attention to defending engaged. You can see that when you select a particular defensive training session, it shows you which group is actually preparing or is actually taking part in that training. So you have primary focus, and then you can see that it's the defensive team that's going to focus on that. And you can see the secondary team is attacking. So these are the players that are going to try to score. And then the main people that are defending are the players that are going to try to stop the other team from, or the other players from scoring during the training session. And then of course the goalkeepers are going to be there to try and stop the ball from getting into the net. This is defending engaged. Before, I used to think that defensive engaged was like for attackers to try and press, but that's not what it means. It shows how your defenders are going to try to tackle and try to engage the opposition and try to win the ball back even when they are sitting down in their own defensive third. Defending disengaged is also for the defensive group, and you can see that the team is also going to sit back and try to maintain their shape. That's what it's showing here, maintain the shape when they are out of possession, and the attackers of course are going to try to score. So you can go ahead and read what each of these mean. Defending wide is going to be how you're going to stop crosses. So if you're struggling and you're scoring or you're conceding goals from crosses, you can go ahead and include this and then have your team prepared to stop crosses more often. Ground defense is also here. Aerial defense to prepare your defenders to stop aerial balls. And then the only defensive training that is for attackers is the defending from the front. So you can see this session is primarily focused on attackers to help them press the opposition and, win the ball back high up the pitch. Technical training is one of my favorites. So if you're struggling to score goals, you can see you have chance conversion here, and it's mainly for the attacking players. You can see chance creation also for attacking players, but I think midfielders are also in here. The goalkeepers are going to obviously try to stop the goals. Ball distribution focused on attackers, and I think defenders are supposed to be in there as well. You also have transition press and transition restrict. Both of them are for attacking groups. So this is for your players that are pressing up the field to try to stop the opposition from countering. Your transition phase is where it's important that it's your attackers and your midfielders that are going to get into this training regime. Try to stop the opposition from countering them. So that's what happens. You can either choose to press and win the ball back, or restrict the space that the opposition has to actually start the counter attack. Ball retention is for everybody, I think. So most of these technical drills are for players in the attacking phase. Player front back is the only instruction that actually focuses on the defenders. So here the defenders are going to try to play their way out of defense. If you're playing in the lower leagues and you're trying to build a team that plays possession football, you should go ahead and include this for your defenders to help them, do what they're supposed to do. Tactical has only two instructions: attacking shadow play and defensive shadow play. This is how your team is going to operate when they are not in possession of the ball. I think it's the only out of possession team instruction. So shadow play means that there's not going to be a ball in play, so your players are just going to operate without the ball on the pitch. So they're going to try and act like what they're going to do if the opposition has possession and then they have to do something. Attacking shadow play kind of also involves not using the ball, but knowing where each player is going to be, like attacking movement and off the ball movements, where your players are supposed to be when the other player maybe has possession. So it's kind of shadow play, and you still don't really involve the ball in this. The goalkeeping ones are kind of neglected in most training schedules that I've seen, but they're quite important as well, especially when super keepers have a glitch in this game somehow. It's almost like they're not good enough, but I feel you can train them to actually be better. Shot stopping for goalkeepers. The defenders are going to obviously be there to try and help out in the training. Attackers are going to try to score goals. They are the secondary focus. And then of course you can work on handling one-on-one situations. If your goalkeepers suck on one-on-one, get them on this drill. If you're trying to play a counter-attacking style of play, distribution is going to be quite useful for your goalkeeper. You can go ahead and include this, and obviously notice that it kind of works on the player attributes that are needed for that particular activity. So if your goalkeeper is not very good at passing, not very good at kicking or throwing the ball long, give him more distribution drills training, and he could go ahead and improve those attributes and then get better at what he's supposed to do. Set pieces is another one that was trimmed down in Football Manager. So it used to be corners, free kicks and everything, but Football Manager kind of reduced that to set piece routine, so you can just have your routines and practice that during that session. And of course penalty training, if your players are not very good at that, or you're in a cup run and you're expecting to play penalties at the end of the day, you should go ahead and give your players practice on penalties so they don't go and screw up when they're supposed to take penalties on the big day. I see a lot of physicals when you're going into create routines, or even when I download some training routines, I see a lot of physical trainings in there. That's because it helps with your team's physicality. It helps your team in pressing the opposition a whole lot. So if you have endurance, if you have resistance, you can see all this work rate and strength and stuff. It does help with pressing. It helps with gegen pressing. So quickness, they're quite good, but recovery is the only one that kind of gets your players to, calm down a bit and try to sort out their injuries or check for injuries. I think what is happening here is that after training, it is usually, let's say after a match on a Sunday, the match is on a Saturday. Let's just assume that we have match day on a Saturday. And then if you have match on a Saturday, you can have recovery session immediately after the match. So the physios are going to go over your players and check who is injured, who maybe had a knock, who had something like that. And obviously the players are going to also increase in their sort of rest session, and they're going to get back their stamina, get back most of the stuff. The only thing that's going to reduce is their sharpness. And I think you can double your recovery sessions as well. So you can also add some rest sessions. I should talk about rest, but it's basically giving your players free time. Remember that if you're using rest session, it's going to reduce your match sharpness and team cohesion. So you need to know how you're going to balance that. Another very important routine you need to add is your extracurricular activities. This sort of helps with team dynamics and team happiness. You can give your team some time off with the community so your players can bond well with the fans. It sort of helps the team chemistry and team dynamics. You can also add your team bonding. This is for the internal team dynamics, kind of. So it improves the team's happiness. If you have a lot of sad players in your team, go ahead and include a lot of bonding. It does help with improve the team's happiness and get some players to try and understand the philosophy. You can see team cohesion is also increased. Attributes, teamwork gets increased as well. So you're going to have a happier squad, and some players can probably talk to the other players if they are difficult to work with, and then they become a lot easier to work with, and you have a happier squad and you get better results that way. Now, before I wrap this up, you need to understand that there's also match preparation here. I did tell you guys that if you go over to match preparation in the schedule, you can only see match tactics and match practice. It wasn't always like that in Football Manager. So the match preparation was kind of moved to a different dialogue or to a different menu. So now you have this recent game coming up against FC and SC here in the French league for my team. I think we have a French Cup game against them. You can see the match focus in here. So what is happening is we go over to the schedules again and then go to, let's say you have a match on Saturday, match day on Saturday. You're going to have a match focus here that is grayed out. You can't really do anything here. You wonder what's going on during match focus. So what's happening is you need to go to your match match preparation and then set your match focus. Currently, right now, mine is disabled. For some reason, I might have to go a few days forward, but in tactical preparation, you can prepare your team for either the transition phase, out of possession phase, or the in possession phase. So those are the three that you can choose from. Against FC and SC, I will probably allow my team to prepare in the in possession phase because we're going to be the dominant team. I don't know where this team came from, so I'm expecting AS Monaco to beat this team. So I'm going to have to be in the possession phase and try to create chances and be the one dominating possession. You also have the routines. Like we saw, routine is also chopped down from all the corners and free kicks just to set piece routines. And then you come over here to the match preparation tab and then set your set piece preparation training for your routine. Either you want to prepare to defend free kicks or defend corners, maybe defend throwings. I don't know if defend throwing is always here, but you can choose between free kicks and corners which one you want to defend for. If the team that you're playing against is very good at corners, you can choose to defend corners in your preparation. If they're good at free kicks, you can choose to defend free kicks. For the attacking phase, if the team is not very good at defending their corners or their free kicks, you can choose to prepare for attacking free kicks or corners depending on the team that you're playing against. Now, in case you don't know how to do that, you can go ahead to the data hub and check the opposition and then see what they're actually good at. It kind of shows you what the opposition is going to play. It helps you set up the training, and then you can see set pieces, how the FC and SC normally do in their set pieces. If they do very well or if they do badly, you can go to scout report. Okay, I'm going to have to get a report for FC and SC, but you can go back to the scout reports, the analyst report, check how they normally score and concede goals. If they're good at corners, try and take note of all those things and then use it to build your training routine for that game. And if you need an in-depth video on how I go about setting up this or using the data hub to try and prepare for a particular game, I'm going to attach a link to that video. You can watch it immediately after this one. And if you did enjoy this video, do also leave a like on it, and also let me know in the comment section if you have any additional questions. I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy your football manager.